Namaste friends. Once again welcome to the session on Bhagavad Gita. This is our fifth session on Bhagavad Gita. In the last lecture or in the last notification I had told you to read first few chapters of Bhagavad Gita. I hope you have been reading it, you have been listening to our sessions. It's also better to have one hard copy of Bhagavad Gita if you are able to buy from the local bookstores. So, even if it is in your own regional language, no problem. So, it's better to have a personal copy so that you open it and refer it now and then, so that you deepen your knowledge on Bhagavad Gita more. So, today our topic is on chapter wise summary. So, we straight away begin with the first chapter. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the crisis or sorrow of Arjuna. In other words, it's also called Arjuna's dilemma. Now, first of all, we shall see the structure of this first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It has some 47 verses, and first verse is about the question of Dhritarashtra, and second to 11th verse it describes about two armies, description of two armies. From 12th verse to 19th, sounding of the conch shell, Shanka, which means being ready for war, getting ready for war, fighting. From 20 to 27, the survey of two armies. 28 to 47, Arjuna becomes dejected, disappointed. He is in delusion. Now the name of the chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So Arjuna requests Krishna to move the chariot to the battlefield, and two armies are ready, and Arjuna sees his own relatives, friends, family members in the opposite side of Kurus, and he loses his morale. He loses his spirit and decides not to fight. Like people go blank in the exam hall when you appear for oral exam, or sometimes even for written exam, or during the public speech, people go blank. In the similar way, Arjuna went blank in the Kurukshetra battlefield. So this feeling or this emotion of Arjuna is described in different words: Vishada, Shoka, or Kripa, etc. In English we call crisis, sorrow, dejection, grief, etc. This Arjuna is in sorrow or in dilemma for two reasons, we can say. One reason is the fratricidal nature of war. What is fratricidal? Fratricidal means fraternity related to the same blood, brothers and sisters. Arjuna is worried about his own brothers, relatives, kith and kin. Secondly, he thinks of the destruction of his own family due to this war. In a way, Arjuna is emotionally attached for his own people. How does this first verse begin, or first chapter begin? Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, verse 1. This is the first verse of the Bhagavad Gita. It reads, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsavaha Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. We shall chant once. Om Dhritarashtra Uvacha धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवश्चैव किम् अकुर्वता संजय ॐ शान्तिः 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 Dhritarashtra Uvacha means Dhritarashtra said to whom? To Sanjaya. What did he say? O Sanjaya, assembled in the holy field of Kurukshetra, eager to fight, what did my people and the Pandavas do? Here are two words, first two words, Dharmakshetre and Kurukshetre. Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra. What is the meaning of Dharma? Dharma means one is duty, righteousness. It is differentiating between what is right and what is evil. So Mahabharata war was fought to decide Dharma, to decide who is right and who is wrong. Dharma is also the main concern of Bhagavad Gita. In fact, the instruction on Dharma is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is nothing but the instruction of Dharma to Arjuna by Krishna. The second word, Kurukshetra. This Mahabharata war was fought in Kurukshetra. They say this place is close to Delhi, near Delhi, in North India. This is the assertion or the proposal. But here, the word Kuru has to be seen in connection to the root word Kru. Kru means to do, to perform, to act. Karma word also comes from this root Kru. So Kurukshetra is an area of action, a field of work. Kurukshetra is a sphere of action where one constantly hears, do it, fight, perform your duty. So that means the word Dharma and the word Karma are closely connected. Dharma calls you for karma. You have to do your duty according to the Dharma. Every person has certain responsibility arising from his own social, family and spiritual background. Another word that is very much important is Mamakaha. Mamakaha means mine. Now Dhritarashtra is saying, what did my people do? Mamakaha Pandavas Chaiva. Dhritarashtra is actually physically blind. He is representing the Kauravas. But a kind of egoism or selfishness is seen in this word mine. He is the king of Hastinapur, Dhritarashtra. He is speaking and is interested to know his own people. He is not only physically blind, he is also spiritually blind. Spiritually blind because of his egoism and selfishness. We move on. Another verse in this chapter that is important is verse 38, because it speaks about the Arjuna Vishada or dilemma of Arjuna. He asked Krishna, is it not right to save the family members by not fighting? In the war field, I am seeing only my family members. Why should I fight? I should save my own family members. My own family members. my own family members. On the other hand, he also looks from this perspective and asks, why can't the greed of Kauravas be tackled by just war or performing the duty of a warrior? He is in dilemma whether to save his family members by not fighting or to fight against the people who are in greed, who are desiring for property, possession, kingdom, etc. So on one side, family interest, on another side, the dharma, his individual duty, either saving family or doing duty by killing the opponents. This is the dilemma. Arjuna's dilemma is also a universal dilemma. How do we handle when there is crisis? Actually, there is solution in every problem, for every problem. One can emerge in every problem as victorious or as a loser. They say Albert Einstein said this: opportunity lies in the middle of difficulties. There is another saying we have heard: there is opportunity in every calamity, and there is calamity in every opportunity. Nothing comes with bed of roses. Nothing is like bed of roses. Everything is difficult, but in every situation one can come out as victorious. So crisis is not accidental. It comes, it has to be expected. It has to be expected when one thinks that it is not there. So there is potential to be victorious in every crisis. It is up to one how one responds to such a situation. In crisis, we need to also find the divine grace. So that's why Arjuna looks for Krishna's instruction and guidance. In the Bible also we see similar incident. The disciples who were on the way to Emmaus, they experienced a kind of disappointment, crisis in their lives. But at last, the divinity, Jesus, comes and helps them, and they are enlightened, they are liberated, they are in happy mood, they become joyful. There are two ways to approach a crisis from the biblical teaching. One way is that of Peter, failing but coming back. Another way is of Judas, failing, getting disappointed and losing oneself. So this is about the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. You read further for more enlightenment, more reflections, and if there are further doubts, we shall clarify. You can ask me through WhatsApp or through a call. Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra, Mamaka. We move on to the next chapter, that is second chapter, Sankhya Yoga, which means transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge. Now let's see the structure of this chapter first of all. From verses 1 to 10, the refuge of confused Arjuna in Krishna. 11 to 30, true nature of the self or the soul, Atma Swarupa. 31 to 38, the duty of Kshatriya. 39 to 53, the Karma Yoga doctrine, Nishkama Karma Yoga. This is one of the important concepts and unique concepts of Bhagavad Gita. 54 is, verse 54 is question of Arjuna regarding the person of steady wisdom. In Sanskrit, such a person is called as Sthita Prajna. And answer to this question is given from verses 55 to 72. Profile of a person of steady wisdom. Steady wisdom. This is the structure of this chapter. Now, after asking Krishna for help, Arjuna is instructed by Krishna. He says, you have to fight because ultimately only a body is killed when your family members are fighting with you. You are not killing their soul, you are killing their body. Body is impermanent, whereas soul is permanent. It is eternal. So as a warrior, you have to fight, you have to uphold the path of dharma through warfare. Krishna instructs basically three aspects in this chapter. One is about the dharma, second one about atma, and third one is about sharira. Uphold the dharma, do your duty, don't worry about the destruction. Ultimately, you are not able to kill the real self. Only the body is dying, body is dead, but the soul remains forever. Now, the word, the Sankhya Yoga itself, the name of the chapter, Sankhya Yoga. The third years have studied this, the word Sankhya. The word Sankhya has two meanings actually. One meaning of Sankhya is Sankhya. Sankhya means number, which can be counted, which can be enumerated. So we have in the classical systems of Indian philosophy, orthodox systems of Indian philosophy, one school is Sankhya school. And one meaning of this Sankhya is enumeration. From the coming together of Purusha and Prakriti, 23 evolutes are there. That's why it is Sankhya. The second meaning of Sankhya is right knowledge. It is the knowledge of reality as it is. So it is differentiating between what is self and what is non-self, what is Atma and what is Anatma. What is Anatma? In Christian terminology, we can call this as discernment. Now, we say in vocation to priesthood, one finds some crisis, one has to discern his vocation. That means one has to decide whether one is called or not called. That's why you are given 1 year break, or you are asked to go for a retreat, etc. Such kind of discernment is expected or asked from Arjuna. His problem is he is unable to distinguish between what belongs to Atma and what belongs to Anatma, what belongs to body and what belongs to the soul. That's why this chapter on Sankhya Yoga says you can have the union. Yoga means union. You can have union with the Lord with the right knowledge. Sankhya Yoga means union with the Lord with the right knowledge. When one is in depression, they are given guidelines in this chapter, and Arjuna, who is in depression, is asked to do 3 things in this chapter. There can be more, but 3 important things is, one is Sankhya 2 meanings, I finished that. The response of Gita to deal with the depression of Arjuna. First one is, you should not grieve, you should not worry. Don't worry, be happy. Stop worrying, start living. You see the references there. Arjuna is said by Krishna, death is inevitable. Death cannot be avoided, and death is coming only to the body, whereas soul is imperishable. Atman is imperishable. What dies is body, and what eternally lives is soul. That's why do not worry. Second one is fight. Krishna says, therefore fight, O Bharata. Bharata means Arjuna. It is the duty of Kshatriya. You are a warrior. You fight. Not fighting will bring you akirti. Not fighting will bring you ill fame. You will not have the fame. You lose your fame. You lose your name. And thirdly, brace yourself for battle. Brace means prepare. Prepare yourselves for battle. So, it invites Arjuna to take up arms. It is a call to engage in an activity. That means one should be mentally disposed. One should be equanimous in pleasure and pain, in gain and loss, in victory and defeat. One should take both the failure and success in the same way. Next, we move on to one of the important verses in this chapter, that is Doctrine of Karma Yoga, verse 47. This third years, I think I have taught you already this. I don't remember whether I have taught you this to the second years last year. Anyway, Karmanne vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbur mate sangotsa karmani. I had given the 10 verses. So 3 verses I am dealing here, and after that maybe it comes in 4th chapter or 6th chapter and so on. So this is one of the important verses. Om karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhu mate sangotsva karmani. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is one of the kernel or the essence of yoga, getting united with the Lord. So what is the meaning of this? You have authority over your duty only, but no control over the results of your action. The fruits of work should not be a motive. You should never be inactive. Another translation is here, the same thing. Or another translation is, your authority is only in action and not in the fruits. Do not become the cause of the fruits of the action. Do not be attached to non-action. That means you must act. Do not worry about the results of your actions. Acknowledge the Lord as the giver of the fruits. Also, do not be inactive, do not be lazy. These 4 things. You must act. You must not desire the fruits of your action. Dedicate the work to the Lord, and do not be inactive. Work and do your duty. One can choose the actions, but one cannot choose the results of the actions. If you are worrying about the results only, then one gets attached to the fruit of the action. So a hunter, for example, has control over his arrow only. He cannot have the control over the deer or the rabbit. Okay, so this is the meaning of this verse. I'll also deal with another verse here itself, that is Bhagavad Gita chapter 2:48, because it is also equally important. Yogatsaha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyoho samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Om yogatsaha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyoho samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Om shantihi shantihi shantihi. What is the meaning of this? Do your work having attached to the Lord, having renounced the attachment to the results. Be calm in success and failure. Equanimity in all conditions is called karma yoga. Karma yoga. Now we deal with some issues in this chapter. First one is, this chapter speaks about the spirituality of the work. I have given the reference that you have to read and summarize. Secondly, the nature of reality. I had told you when we spoke about the structure of the Gita, of this chapter. Atma Swarupa. What is the nature of the soul? For example, verse 23 says, weapons cannot cut the soul, fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, nor wind dry it. Most of the time this verse is used, verse 23 is used in the obituary column. If you see the newspaper, sometimes this verse in Sanskrit comes as the used as the words of the obituary. Next, another important thing is Sthita Prajna, person of steady wisdom. Sthita Prajna. So that means what Gita expects one from is to become Sthita Prajna, person of steady wisdom. So, how to know one is Sthita Prajna or no? The reference is from chapter 2 verses from 55 to 70 or 72. Here the image of tortoise is used. Tortoise is used. What does tortoise do? It is to withdraw oneself from the sensual pleasure. That means tortoise, when there is some danger, it withdraws its limbs inside its shell. So too, a person of steady wisdom should withdraw oneself when his senses move out of himself, out of control, and succumb to temptations or succumb to difficulties, dangers. So you withdraw oneself, remain composed. For example, in Yoga School of Indian Philosophy, this controlling of senses is called Pratyahara, control of senses. One has integrated all the three yogas, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is called Yogi. Yogi. So, Sthita Prajna. These are the different issues. Now, in this chapter, we have to see this way. One is supposed to fight is Arjuna. He is sitting, and one who is supposed to sit is standing. Krishna is standing, he is supposed to sit in the chariot, and Arjuna is sitting, supposed to stand and fight. Most of the time, the problem in our life is also we do not read the reality accurately. Confusion arises because we fail to read the reality. A leader is the one who reads the reality and leads the people. Leader is the one who reads and one who leads. One who reads the reality as it is, understands it accurately, and leads himself and the people in the right path. So in this context, we ask the question for ourselves: how do we take decisions in our life when there is crisis? How do we manage our emotions of anger? How do we console the bereaved or the disappointed people or those who are worried? This is about the second chapter. And last chapter is chapter 3, that is Karma Yoga or path of action. We begin with the structure. Structure is from verses 1 to 8, conflict between action and contemplation. Here contemplation should be understood as Jnana Yoga. Action means Karma Yoga. 9 to 16, why should you work? Additional element of action is added. 17 to 24, who is a Jnani? Who is a real Pandita? Who is an intellectual? Next verse is 25 to 35, how does a Ajnani or ignorant work? And admonition, which means warning to Arjuna to work without attachment, without raga and without dvesha. Verses 36 to 43, how to become enlightened, how to overcome sin, especially anger. This is the structure of the chapter. Krishna praises Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga you see in the previous chapter, that is Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya is right knowledge. Krishna is praising the right knowledge and asks Arjuna to get into action. Now, the question of Arjuna is, which is superior? Whether the knowledge is superior or action is superior. Arjuna is asking, why should he engage in fighting if knowledge is more important than action? So Krishna tells Arjuna that performing duty is of greater good, but without attachment to the results. Arjuna should maintain the creation cycle by doing the work. Srishti Chakra is maintained by doing the work, doing the action. Karma is God-centric, not ego-centric for oneself. Real Jnani or real intellectual is one who maintains the world by his work. By his work. How we can liberate ourselves? How to make our work liberative? Work becomes liberative in 3 ways. Work becomes yoga for 3 reasons. First is work done as duty without attachment and desire. Secondly, work must be offered or dedicated to the Lord. And thirdly, work must be for the welfare of the world. Welfare of the world. So liberation is possible only through detachment, dedication and loka sangraha, welfare of the world. These 3 things. Next, the issues, important issues. If the knowledge is going to help me to reach Sthita Prajna, person of steady wisdom, why do I need to act? This is a question of Arjuna to Krishna. Now here we can also see in this way. Only few people can take the path of knowledge to reach the stage of Sthita Prajna. Majority of the people can reach only through action. Okay, this is one of the answers. Then action is also important because one can contribute for the welfare of the world, and your action is nothing but yajna, is sacrifice. Okay, so This Loka Sangraha, when I say welfare of the world, even Marxism, the subject we have started to deal with, that also speaks about the Loka Sangraha, welfare of the world. But what is missing in Marxism is the aspect of transcendence, the aspect of divinity is missing. So Loka Sangraha is one of the important concepts in this chapter. We do not live in isolation. We are social beings, we say. We have received much from others and we are indebted to others. Whatever we do, directly or indirectly, must promote universal well-being. That is the idea of Loka Sangraha. We have the reference in verses 20, 21 and verse 25. That's why social justice, working for the ecology, maintaining ecological balance, all these concerns should be there so that we contribute to the world. We contribute to the world. Then another reference in verse 29 is about the three natures. Three natures. That is, we have three gunas: sattva, rajas and tamas. So these natures are referred in this chapter also. We'll deal about that in detail in the later chapter. It comes once again later on. So that's all for now. Thank you very much. Keep listening and keep writing notes and continue to read the chapters on Bhagavad Gita.